Good morning, everyone. Henson, President and Founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand Up. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I wanted to talk to you about an article that was sent to me, so I appreciate you sending it over to me, Robert. That's awesome. This article was by Maria Chec, and it goes on to talk about what makes an awesome Agile coach. Now, I'm going to confess, this article was meant or intended to be part of a series. She opens up with following up on our last episode, dot, dot, dot. So, with that being said, I have not listened to or watched or even read the entire series of articles. So, I'm going to base my opinions on this specific article around Agile coaching. Now, for me, I can tell you already, I'm excited. I love to learn more about what other people's opinions are, but they are just that, opinions. So I'm not going to call out and say, hey, you missed this, or hey, that was wrong, because that wouldn't be the right thing to do. As an Agile coach and servant leader, it should be my mission to help lift you up. So let's take a look at what you got here, and we'll go through it together. So right out of the gate, I think she identifies the misnomer. Sometimes the title, or what people call themselves, isn't actually what they are. So she goes on to explain that she's an RTE, or a release train engineer from SAFe. That's her title. But is she a scrum master? Is she a coach? Is she a release train engineer? I don't even think she drives a train, but or maybe she drives a release train, but not like a physical train. Never mind. My point is, I don't know that organizations understand that people get confused between titles and responsibilities, things they're being asked to do. So one of the first mechanisms that I put into play when I'm teaching people how to be an excellent coach is to, and it's one of the top 2 or 3 things in an Agile 12-step program, is the clear delineation and definition of Agile roles and responsibilities. I think it's important for us to identify the roles and responsibilities and stop worrying so much about what the title is, right? I've had so many people in class tell me, well, that's not what my business analyst does, or that's not what and when I answer them and I say, you know what, I don't care, I get shocked faces, right? I get deer in headlights because I really don't care. And it's not that I don't care in a mean or disrespectful way. It's just, I think too many times we hang our hat so hard on a title that we forget to look at the reasonable things that we're asking these people to do. So, is there a difference really between a Scrum Master and an Agile coach? That was the question she invites. And I'm hoping she makes a pretty good distinction here because here's my thought. There's a fine line in the sand between the two, right? And I don't know that. Well, let's see where she goes first. I don't want to go there yet. So she says, moreover, I will mention an important distinction between outcome, output, and activity. Amen, sister. And I will introduce the different Agile coaching frameworks. And in the end, we'll ponder a bit whether an Agile coach is a more suitable name for the role or if I'm just a Scrum Master. And then I love the disclaimer. Her disclaimer goes on to read, today I'm going to express my opinion and a lot of it, right? So I think that we as Agile coaches and trainers and thought leaders in the Agile community often express our opinion, but we don't remind people that we're doing so. So I love that you came right out of the gate and shared that. Awesome job. Because I know that I'm guilty as charged. I often don't do that enough. And then here comes my favorite part of the entire article. Ready? She said, recently I got a question from a colleague at work. She says, Agile coaches, who are they anyway? She says, I'm used to working with Scrum Masters. I know who they are, but these Agile coaches, they just seem more like priests of the Agile religion. So now you got all these people who are really dogmatic down by the riverside. I call these people the Agile evangelist, right? Or the Scrum evangelist, because they tend to have more of an evangelical approach to how Scrum is applied. You'll catch them a lot of times saying, thou shalt always do this, thou shalt never do that. And they apply things a lot of times strictly by the book. And anytime you have a by the book approach, that should be your first red flag. Oftentimes, people will study traditional project management, they'll switch over to Agile project management and become a Scrum Master, and immediately lean heavily on Scrum for Dummies, right? And they'll take the book out and they'll say, but it's according to the book of who on page 23, here's what you should do, you know? And it kills me, right? The book of who. It's the holiday season. I had to throw that in there. No, but it's one of those things where if you don't do this during a demo, it's going to be a mortal sin, or no, right? I think the important thing for us is that we understand that Agile was never intended to be a dogmatic thing. It was intended to be a pragmatic thing. It was intended to be a one size fits many, not one size fits all, right? And I think that there are times and places where we let naming conventions run away with us. So, for example, she brings in Agile coach, Scrum Master, Senior Scrum Master, Release Train Engineer. Yeah, I get it. But what about all these others? I mean, I've heard Scrum Undertaker, Agile Overlord. I've heard Scrum Lord. That one's special. What about Scrum Vader? That was my favorite. Luke, where's your backlog? I can just, my point, Agile Undertaker, Agile Shepherd. I've heard them all, right? And I think the reminder is that, and then I want to make sure I push it one step further. The name Scrum Master. Now, I've known Ken since the very beginning. In fact, I was in one of Ken Schwaber's very early certified Scrum Master classes. He was a mentor and a leader to me, and I love the man to pieces. I'm still not sure about this name Scrum Master, right? And I think people confuse it. They think, oh, if I'm the Scrum Master, that means I've mastered Scrum. Well, no, it doesn't. And I think that people don't understand that it's a role and it has certain responsibilities and accountabilities that are associated with it. So in order to delineate, people are now saying, well, we have Scrum Mastery and we have Agile coaches. Well, okay, yes. But once again, we're back to the name dictating the responsibilities. And I think that we need to lean away from that in order to be successful. The Scrum Guide in 2020 didn't make it any easier. It says, quote, Scrum Masters are true leaders who serve the Scrum team and the larger organization. I could just throw a handful of question marks in the air there and say, what? It doesn't give you enough specificity to talk about where you got to go. So, one of the other things that comes up, and she calls it out here, she says, I got to tell you, there's a lot of BS around this Agile coach role circulating on the internet. I agree. It's just, if you get so caught up in trying to figure it out and trying to figure out exactly what you should or shouldn't be doing and look to some article to tell you, you're going to be lost. I think the beauty here, the gem that might be missing, is that the number one thing that I teach coaches is that if you're going to be a strong Agile coach, you have to base it on experience. And it has to be your personal experiences. You have to have a story to tell. You've got to have something. Well, when this happened here, this is what we did, right? Or let's try this. And you can't go in with bias. I think that's another thing about coaching that makes it better. If you go in without bias, it helps you really analyze and see what's going on. So how much coaching is there in Agile coaching? Well, hopefully a lot because, well, it's Agile coaching. But I think a lot of times people don't think about it the same way they do a sports coach, where they have a playbook and they've got things that they can do and different plans. And, I don't think people treat it that way. So what kind of tools do they have? Well, there's a great Agile coaching framework that was put in place by Lissa Adkins that's very, very strong. You can find it in Agile Coaching Institute. Strong overview. You can look at Barry Overeem's 8 Stances of a Scrum Master, and it talks about the Scrum Master as a servant leader, facilitator, coach, manager, mentor, teacher, impediment remover, and change agent, which are those 8, which I think is very, very powerful. There's just lots of different tools out there. There's this Agile Coaching Growth Wheel, which was published recently, and it talks about where the coach fits and how well you know yourself, how well you know the team, how well you know the business, etc., how well you know the organization. There's lots of good there. And then there's the Agile Coaching DNA, right, that I just recently learned about after reading this article. And what I can tell you is that there's lots of different tools out there. But I think beyond the tools, it boils down to some very simple practices. So I'm going to take everything that you've put here. Maria, I love what you have, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to simplify it quite a bit. The first thing you need to do to be a strong Agile coach is learn how to focus on outcome and understand that traditionally everyone else has dwelled on and focused on output for a long time. So you need to understand how you can still give people output through visual indicators, visible boards, things along those lines, but understand that the primary focus shouldn't be on output, but on outcome. Are we making our customers happy? Are we building high quality products and services? Is the team happy doing what they're doing? The activities and the impact are what should be measured. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss. Strong Agile coaches measure impact. The second one that you called out quite eloquently is having a growth mindset. You know, I find that organizations often become the factory of delivering deliverables, or a feature factory, I guess is another term for it. And they don't necessarily have a growth mindset. They're not looking at innovation and things the way that they should. Oftentimes they're putting technical debt aside to build new features, but they're not looking at new features in the mindset of how is this going to benefit the customer? How's this going to benefit strategically? And they're not looking at innovation as a way to advance. They're looking at innovation as a way to fix what was previously there and to get to where we originally thought we wanted to be, which is really messed up. Because in the end, happy customers are the ones who appreciate your innovation. They appreciate your limiting whip and getting things out faster and swarming to get those high quality and high value products, projects, and services to market. So, Maria, I applaud you on this article. Great job. I'll drop a link to the article on Medium down in the notes. But I want to congratulate you on a job well done. And yeah, if you have questions about being an Agile coach, reach out to us here at Agile Dad. I'd love to hear your feedback about the article. I'd love to hear your comments. And until next time, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Do take care.